the first ever in-season tournament quarterfinal game, Celtics and Pacers. How's it going to go? I'm doing a crossover with Tony East of the Locked On Pacers podcast right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team. Step back, we gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And I've got you every day with a free, fresh podcast dropped directly to your device if you're a subscriber. So make sure you are subscribed to this podcast. I'm here Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts when they play on the weekends. So sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 7 days a week. I will be there for you. I will be there in Vegas for you if the Celtics beat the Pacers and go to the in-season tournament semifinals and finals. So that's all for you if you subscribed. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis. I played ball a long time ago. Now my job is to cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal and for you. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. All right, today's show is a crossover. Tony East of Locked On Pacers and I get into a whole thing. These two teams, whether we're taking anything from that first matchup where the Celtics won by 50, the shortcomings that the Celtics can take advantage of. This Pacers offense that's just out of this world right now. So let's get right to it. My conversation with Tony East of Locked On Pacers.
John Karalis. John, what's up, man?
What's going on? Oh, man, I'm thrilled. I'm excited. This is big stuff. So big that my video stream can't keep up with my thoughts. So if anything, if people are looking at me like, well, the words aren't matching your lips, that's what it is. It's the excitement for the in-season tournament. It's not processing fast enough here. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think this is going to be an incredible game. I'm wondering, like, can this game start? Are we doing aggregate scoring? Can the Celtics come in up 50? Because even with a 50-point lead against this Pacers offense, I'm not so sure that would be safe over a full NBA game.
Yeah, that game. John hosts Locked On Celtics. I should have said that,
but what I do.
He also writes for the Boston Sports Journal and is the best. And we have a lot to talk about today because it's interesting. Like, I want to go back to that game and go, throw it out. Tyrese Haliburton didn't play. The Celtics scored more points in a half, and I think I got this from the Celtics game notes, and they scored since like the 1980s or something ridiculous. Like, they were on fire. But then the Pacers won without Haliburton Saturday night. So, like, they can be good without him, and they still got their stuff pushed in by the Celtics. And I am of the opinion that the Celtics are the best team in the league. But then Porzingis is out. So there's so many little things that play into this that I think it will be a great game. The Pacers on national TV for the first time all season. The Celtics are very good and have already crushed the Pacers, but there's some different dynamics since that game that make it both usable information that the Celtics match up well, but also there's just so much change that maybe it doesn't matter at all. What do you stand on that?
I don't think it matters much. There's so much that you can throw out from that game just from the sake of, if I recall correctly, the Pacers couldn't hit a damn shot either. Like, they just couldn't hit anything. And that's always going to be possible in today's NBA. Like, just a good shooting team, a good offense has like a night where nothing is falling, and all of a sudden it's always one of the most amazing things to me that on a team where there are so many options and so many good players and scorers, that it's one night where collectively everybody just forgets how to shoot. How does it all happen on one night? Like, I don't know, but that's what happened. Obviously no Haliburton, and who's been better than Tyrese Haliburton in, over the past, 10 games or so. Like, it's just been He's so good. He's so good that it changes so much about what the Celtics can do. And then without Porzingis, that's an element where, look, Al Horford does a really great job as a starter in Porzingis' place, but then you've got like Luke Cornett, Nemais Keita. It gets kind of dicey pretty fast, and I don't know how the Celtics are going to decide to match up with the backup centers after that. There's so many different elements to this game that I'm not going to take too much out of that first one. Now, I mean, the question is though, is Tyrese Haliburton going to play in this game?
All right. I have lots to say about what you just said. To answer the question you just proposed to me, like, he's listed as questionable and he is sick, and I would be stunned if he does not play.
Right? I'm with you on that.
He has talked all summer about these national TV games that he doesn't get very much, which the Pacers the Pacers haven't earned them yet. I think that's fine that they're not, but he wants them, man. He wants them, and the way he's playing now that he gets an extra one. Funnily enough, if they lose, their only 2 TNT games all year could be against the Celtics, but a chance for him to show on the level that he's hoped for, that he's that guy. Like, I can't say like I can guarantee anything, but my expectation is he will do everything.
I just from a pure basketball perspective, from a Celtics perspective, oh, you guys need to sit Haliburton. You don't want to risk anything. He's so important to you and all of that. But from a pure basketball perspective, this is a much bigger deal for him. It's a much bigger deal for the Pacers. Like, this is the Pacers going to the tournament, going to Vegas and going to the semifinals and finals. Like, that would be like a Pacers Magic semifinal would be kind of a best case scenario for those teams. Maybe not the NBA, but the NBA could spin it into like, hey, look, anything can happen. And look at these 2 young, great teams that we have, like, up and coming. There's so much talent here. Everybody gets to know these guys. I think Haliburton I'm with you. I think he's going to play. I think he's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to Drew Holiday versus Tyrese Haliburton. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Celtics defend him, how much help they give. Are they going to treat it like, well, we're not going to help off of him, or not? We're not going to help off of the shooters too much. And if Haliburton has 50, he has 50, and do that like we can't get beat by everybody else type of scenario? Or do you try to cut off the head of the snake and say, maybe Haliburton's going to come in a little too juiced. Let's see if we can use that against him. And maybe he draws, you set him up to like draw a couple of charges or something like that, and get him on the bench. And that's the strategy. But I think Haliburton's going to really, really, really want this. And he should want this. This is a showcase for him. This is a chance for a lot of casual fans to get to know Tyrese Haliburton, a guy that they should know. So
he had a brilliant game against the Celtics in Boston last year, if you will recall. So here's the deal about this game. Last time these 2 teams played, you could throw out the score. It was ridiculous. It was like laughable. And it was so early in the season that it annoyed me because like it ruined the Pacers net rating for like 2 weeks. I was like, okay, well, if you throw out the 50-point loss, they're still fine. But it happened.
I love having to do that. Throw out this blowout and look, the numbers are great, but you did get blown out. But it's so early. Like, to have that happen in game 4 or whatever it was
ruins everything.
Just your efficiency numbers are going to be a mess until Christmas.
So the Pacers were 5 of 30. You already said this more broadly, but they were 5 of 37 from 3. It was like their 3rd time in like 2 decades.
I forgot it was that bad.
Taking more than 33s and only making 5. Like, it was rough. Their only guy who made more than 1 was a rookie, Ben Shepherd, whose family was there because they love New England and are big Patriots fans or something. Yeah, it was pretty fun. He had a nice game. I talked to him about it, but they did awful shooting. And so part of me is like, throw that out. They can play better. But, John, even with Porzingis out, if I'm the Pacers, here's the following things are all true. 1, Drew Holiday is maybe the best Haliburton matchup in the league. He did awesome defending him last year for Milwaukee in Indy and had 50 points in the same game After that game, Rick Carlisle said he thinks Drew Holiday is a top 5 player in the NBA, right? Gushing praise for the game he just had. He's a very good defender. He's very locked into his opponent's tendencies. Haliburton's much worse going left. He'll admit that. And Drew was awesome. He was unbelievable that game.
Mm-hmm.
2, the thing the Pacers stink at the most, given their team structure, is defending big wings. Well, boy, oh boy, do the Celtics have some coming your way throughout a game, right? Tatum was awesome when they played earlier this season. Jaylen Brown was good, pretty good, right? They combined for 46. 3 of the non-post forwards or centers, whatever, in the league, only 2 routinely give Miles Turner fits. And they are both on the Celtics. It is Porzingis, who's not playing, and Al Horford.
Mm-hmm.
So even if there's a lot of stuff that I think will go better for the Pacers, this is still a really hard matchup for them, at least given their history.
That is true. That is all true. Those are very the Celtics are the best team in the league.
Yes,
agreed. Like that, we're coming into this whole thing with the Pacers just who did they just throttle? They just without Haliburton, Miami. That's right. And Miami had the 10th ranked defense, and they just rained hot fire on Miami. So I think, you know what? I'm gonna tell you what I think. We're gonna save it because we've got to go ahead and tell our listeners and listeners and watchers about JCE Medical, which is this is going to help you. We're all getting prepared for worst case scenarios, right? The world is kind of a crazy place right now, and even though things might be kind of cool where we are, the craziness of the world does cause things like supply chain issues, and you kind of don't want to be caught without things like medication, antibiotics. If something happens and someone, hey, Tyrese Haliburton's dealing with an upper respiratory infection, you need antibiotics to deal with these infections. And if you have, like, Tyrese's not going to have a problem getting them, but maybe you will if there's a supply chain issue. But you can go ahead and get yourself a JCE case from JCE Medical, and you get 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, things like respiratory infections, sinusitis, UTI, skin infections, all kinds of stuff that can happen to you at any time. And if there's some sort of issue and you don't kind of get the help that you need, then you just run a risk of it getting worse. So have yourself this backup. Visit jacemedical.com. You can see it on the YouTube page, JASE medical.com. You get a physician encounter. You fill out a questionnaire. Maybe you need to have a conversation with this board-certified physician. Then your medications get dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never really been more important to be prepared than today. Go to JCE Medical, JASE medical.com. Use the code LOCKED ON. Use the code LOCKED ON. You get $20 off your order. So we should also implore our listeners and readers and watchers and however people like talkers, whatever they are, go check out this cool thing that we did, Locked On Sports Today.
Yes.
24/7, 24. I can't believe that our network, look, I'm an OG on this network. I was like one of the first shows on the network. I cannot believe that we've grown to the point where we have 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. That is absolutely amazing. And for it to be the first ever on YouTube, that's meaningful. So check it out. It's all day long, every day. Pop it on the background and leave it on, and all of a sudden it'll catch your ear, and you'll be like, "Oh, hey, what's that?" Yeah, check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's what
John is one of the 12 employees before me. in this space.
Seriously, man, it was like at that point, David Locke was still explaining the concept.
Mm-hmm.
So it was we've come a long, long way.
We only had like 18 teams filled back then. Crazy.
Yeah, it was an ambitious endeavor, and now we're seeing it realized. It's pretty cool.
And now there's an in-season tournament.
And now we're here talking about an in-season tournament, where the Boston Celtics are obviously going to be favored. Like the Pacers are a great story, and they're a great offense. and they are going to be tough to stop. If they are hitting shots, it puts a ton of pressure, no matter what defense, what kind of defense you've got. It's tough to stop. The gravity of Haliburton, the madness of trying to get out to multiple high level shooters, and all the chaos that creates is going to be very difficult. However, when you do have to guard big wings and you're not great at that, that messes with your head. And anything that messes with your head on that end can mess with your offense. And it can be, I can see why the game in Boston cascaded out of control, because you are frustrated on one end, like, oh God, what are we doing? You're supposed to help me on this. No, I'm not supposed to help. I'm over here. And you're talking to each other, and then you're running down on offense and you miss a shot and you're like, damn, that didn't feel right. And you come down and Jayson Tatum scoring on you, like, where's the help on that? And you come on down and you force a shot trying to answer, and then boom, 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 it cascades out of control. And look, a loss is a loss, by 5, by 50, it doesn't matter. But when something's not going well and you've got to deal with the difficult task of defending a high level team, the Celtics offense is also a high level offense. That's tough. That's tough to do defensively when defense is not the Pacers' strongest suit.
You're so nice.
So when you're tasked with defending at that level and then coming down, it does impact your offense. And so I'm a big believer in defending with your offense. So put Haliburton in the action, force him to defend, put him in the pick and roll action, really put him in the post, have Tatum post him up, search him out, make him work hard on the other end. You are defending him by doing that. So I think any kind of post play, any kind of mismatches, anything you can do to target him on that end and find those weak points, find, Buddy Hield, find Aaron Nesmith, who's, the decent, but smaller. It's just going to be,
sure,
it's going to be very difficult to take that pounding, and the Celtics can kind of inflict that stuff. Holiday in the post against if Holiday posts up Nesmith, sorry, Nesmith is going to have a tough time there. So that's going to be where I think if my biggest worry is, how do you slow down the Pacers? That's how you do it. Part of it is running your offense and really attacking those guys, attacking their best offensive players on the defensive end. And either they're going to stop defending and it's going to be a shootout. And then the Celtics defense is, I think, second in the league right now. So you rely on that, or you're going to wear these guys down. And sure, maybe it's going to be a game for, a half, 3 quarters, but that fourth quarter, all of a sudden you see those front rim, that's going to be where you get that cumulative effect.
Yeah, you just described something that's been a problem for the Pacers a lot of this season, and why they often have called themselves frustrated after games that they felt like they should have won. It's because on some of their nights where their defense goes, whether that's from an effectiveness perspective or an effort perspective, their offense also goes, for all the reasons you just said. And what I have said, and I have to finish this full sentence because everybody always thinks excuse right when I say it, is that's a consequence of them being a young team. That's not to excuse them. That's to say that's bad. That's critical. You shouldn't, they want to win, and they're not, because they can't get over that right hurdle of I got beat on defense. I got to fix it on the offensive end. No, you got to keep playing your game, run your stuff, be the Pacers, set your identity. So in Miami on Saturday without Haliburton, they had a few defensive lapses in the second quarter, but their offense kept humming, and they were an incredible offensive team in the second half. And all of a sudden they start defending better and they win. If they can just remember to stick to who they are, things typically go better for them. But they're young, and that's bad for a team that's trying to win. It's just a consequence of being a young team ascending. So I agree with you. And that's something interesting about this Pacers team, and something Dustin Operica of the Indy Star has harped on a lot this season, is their best offensive lineup and their best defensive lineup have basically no overlap, right? It's almost like entirely different units. And so you're in a situation a lot of the times where someone can get picked on either end of the floor. So it's really hard for them to go on, crazy stretches of flow on either end. And that just plays back to what you just said, where teams like the Celtics, who are great on both ends, can just constantly be punishing you throughout a game.
Yeah, and like that is like it's not an excuse. Like I hate
It sounds
the
like
notion,
one, but it's not.
but I hate this notion of like when you explain something, people are like, oh, it's an excuse. Like that's
I do
no,
too.
this is how it is, man. And the Pacers are a young team, and they've never like who would have. No one would say the Pacers are fully formed, fully realized
Right.
who they're going to be forever. Like coming into the season, this is exactly what we expected. People are like, "Ooh, watch out for the Pacers, man!" Like play in. No, I think they can snag maybe that 6th seed. Well, where are we in the standings? Here are the Pacers at the 6th seed. Now I'm a little surprised. I would have had Orlando and Cleveland flipped at this point, but everything else to me looks about right. When like just take Orlando, drop it, put Cleveland up there, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Philly, New York, Indiana, that makes perfect sense. Preseason expectations. Like for once, I think we got it right. Like but when you're a young team, and this has been the Celtics' problem for a long time, and I think part of the reason why the Celtics are 15-4 is this season, for once, poor shooting nights aren't impacting their defense. And that, I think, is a big step forward. And now think about where the Celtics are. How many deep playoff runs have they made? And now they're only just now getting to the point where you shoot 32% and you can still defend. Like the Celtics did not shoot well against the Sixers, and they still defended. They've won a game where they shot like 28% this season. That would never happen last year. So that's something mentally that you got to go through, and it's very, very difficult, especially when you're already not the best defender, to be like, okay, I'm 0 for 4, but I'm gonna go and bear down and not worry about it. You worry about it, and that's just gonna be how it goes. So
look at us bouncing around, not talking about the Pacers or Celtics, just getting into nerding about hoops. This could have been an Orlando Magic therapy session. Both of these teams got boat raced by the Magic in the last 10 days, right?
They did. Yeah.
Orlando's killing it, dude. They're awesome.
They are right there. They're 14-6.
Yeah, they're
unbelievable. Great. You know, I would not have bet on them being 14-6. But if you want to open up your little FanDuel app, go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Maybe you can bet on where they're going to be the rest of the way. This is a great time of year to open up that FanDuel app. The weather's getting colder. The NFL offers stay hot. The NBA offers are right there too. If you're a new customer, if this is the time you're like, oh, all right, fine. I think I'm ready to jump in. Great. All you got to do is place a $5 money line bet. You win. You get $150 in bonus bets on top of whatever you win on your money line bet. Maybe you want to open up and say, okay, I didn't see the line for Celtics and Pacers. I'm sure the Celtics are, but maybe you're like, oh no, I got the Pacers. That could be a nice little payoff. Plus, if you win, you get that $150 in bonus bets. And you can do it on spreads, player props, over-unders, whatever you want. You want to do same-game parlays and stack them up, and you can do Tyrese Haliburton points and Jayson Tatum points and, Miles Turner blocks, and you can kind of like stack up all of those bets, and maybe you can, really get a nice little payoff. So FanDuel.com/lockedon. Kick off the NFL season. Get into that NBA season. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. And my favorite part about what FanDuel does is they've got these tools where you can set your limits, you can set your spending limits. That's a really important thing because this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be, hey, I got a little extra money in my pocket. Let's have some fun here. It's not supposed to be something that becomes a problem. So set your limits, use the tools that they have, and please gamble responsibly. The Orlando Magic are good. The Orlando Magic are a very good basketball team. They're tough, man. They're a tough team. And that's I could see the Magic being there in the semifinal for sure. Whichever one of the Celtics and if the Pacers,
I have to stop you right there. I can't see the Magic being there because they're not in the knockout round.
What? They're not?
It is Knicks Bucks on the other side.
Oh shit! Oh wow!
You knew that. You knew that.
I did know that. It's Knicks Bucks. That's right. Because
we love the Magic anyway.
This is okay. So the in-season tournament, still figuring it out. For some reason, I thought, no, that's right. It's 1, 2, 3, 3 teams from each. Yeah. And then the wild card.
Yep.
That's why the Celtics had to win by 23. For
That's
some
right.
reason, I thought Orlando was still in it. Wow. Well, that would have been a surprise for me when I got to Vegas. Can I talk to Paolo Banchero? Like, I don't know. Maybe he's in the club, but he's not here. That's for sure.
That when he gets to Vegas, John predicting a Celtics win already. Very aggressive stance on his travel plans for the week. So I think, to me, a big X factor for this game is going to be the Pacers bench. I hate to be cliche. Their depth has been a big weapon for them this season, at their best especially. They have a lot of depth, right? They have 14, 15 guys who, unlike a lot of teams, could be capable bench players. The bench just won them a game against Miami. They shot 26 of 33. Their bench did against the Heat. That's insane. They were ridiculous. They were flinging the ball around. TJ McConnell was unbelievable. He might not play if Haliburton does, but McConnell played. And McConnell was like their only good player in Boston, right? He was awesome that night. So their bench is really good. And the only like credible knock on the Celtics all season has been, well, yeah, they're very top heavy. And I think that's true, even though their depth is underrated. And of course, Pacers listeners will know all about O'Shea Brissett, Mr. the man of no mistakes, besides missing shots. So I think that if the Pacers are going to win, their bench is going to have to be able to not even just keep up, but cut into leads or extend leads, because the starter on starter minutes are going to go all Boston's way. Like Derek White was plus 34, Jayson Tatum was plus 36. And again, we talked about how fluky that game was early in November. Whatever. Celtics would have won even if it wasn't fluky. They're better. But those minutes are likely going to go Boston's way. So the mix and matched pairings and the bench units have to go the Pacers' way to me. And they have a depth advantage, I think. You can maybe speak to that, but I think that's critical tonight.
I do think that, well, it's interesting because the Celtics depth, we know that Brad Stevens has another move to make, and there's probably going to be like, this is not going to be the bench unit Celtics going to the playoffs with. I'm curious to see how Joe Mazzulla uses the bench. Does he go to O'Shea Brissett back in Indy? Maybe you want to catch some of the magic that he felt on that floor, just convince him he's playing against Boston like he did last year when he dropped whatever. Like he hit the one night he hit a bunch of shots. I do think that there's some merit to going smaller instead of like putting Luke Cornett out there. Or like I said, they got Luke Cornett, who's fine. Nemaesh Keita, who is fine, but like very different. Like he's a very traditional big. He's on a 2-way contract, but he's getting some minutes. He can rebound. If offensive rebounds are a problem, then he will get in there and get some minutes to try to clear some boards and maybe protect the rim. But they could go smaller and just go with Brissett and just kind of try to fly around and contest threes. That could be a way to go. I think Sam Hauser has been a really good I don't want to say revelation, but he's taken a step forward this year. I think defensively he's done pretty well. He's defending well. He's getting dunks out in transition. He's doing more than shooting threes. So he's been a really good contributor off the bench. Peyton Pritchard, when he has time to get out there and really, I think, be a higher usage guy, he can be pretty good. And Joe Mazzulla loves him. So the Celtics depth is maybe not as good necessarily as other teams, but they've got enough where I know Mazzulla is going to play Tatum and Brown a good chunk, and the starters are all going to play a little bit more. We might see a little bit of a playoff kind of rotation with a little higher numbers because they've had some time off, and regardless, win or lose, the next game is not until at least Thursday. So you got Tuesday, Wednesday off before then. So there's time to rest. It's either Thursday in Vegas or Friday at home. So go ahead and pump up those minutes. So I still think we're going to see a ton of Tatum and Brown and White and Holiday, and those four guys. Horford maybe not as much because they're not going to. It'd be pretty stupid to put 40 minutes on Al Horford's legs at this point, but he plays enough, and he's going to play in the right spots where he'll make a difference. And he might just match up against Miles Turner just minute for minute, regardless. So all of that super long-winded thing is to say that, yeah, the Pacers bench can do some damage, but the Celtics starters are going to get a bulk of the minutes anyway. And I'm not too worried about. They're going to go 7 deep, 8 max. So I'm not too worried about it.
That is a great point. I'm curious how playoff the rotations and strategies will be, right? Like, it's not like you're saving anything in a series and then things like that. But certainly I think there will be shorter rotations in these games, right? And
yeah,
at most you play 3 games in a week, right? That's not that strenuous for resting purposes. So I don't think it'd be hard for teams to go deeper. You're totally right about that. I spaced that. So that makes the Pacers 10 bench minutes instead of 18 far more important. They have to win.
Yeah. They have to.
Aha, checkmate, Karalis. No, that's a great point. And I think that bodes poorly for the Pacers. So it's just a tough matchup for the home team. They have played well in these tournament games on this cerulean blue court. I'm glad I won't have to see it anymore after today. But this is far and away their toughest opponent yet in the in-season tournament. And like Haliburton's been amazing all season, and that's made the Pacers offense the best in the league, and that gives them a chance against anybody. But the Celtics are uniquely qualified to defend him in a way that makes me think he's going to have to be either bananas or they're going to have a hot shooting night to keep up, because it's a tough matchup for them.
Yeah, Boston's the best team in the league, and that's
Agreed.
that's just how it is. And there's a reason they have the best net rating, and a net rating that's 6.5 points higher than the Indiana Pacers, because their defense is second in the league and their offensive rating is 9th, 117.1. The Pacers is 123.8. But you look at that and you say, okay, the Pacers offense is, wow, holy crap, 123.8. But the Celtics is like, they're only 6 points behind offensively. That's 2 3-pointers. So, over the course of 100 possessions, that 2 3-pointers can be made up very easily. But defensively, the Celtics are at 107.6 and the Pacers are at 120.8. So the Celtics are 13 points better defensively. That's going to be the thing. Yeah, that's tough. It's tough when you say the numbers out loud. And so I'm giving a lot of respect to the Pacers, and I love Tyrese Haliburton. When that trade was made, I was like, what is Sacramento doing? Just like a lot of people. And this is why. This is because he's this good. So I legitimately want him to have his showcase. I legitimately want him to go out there and show out and have, like, the casual fan who might not know him be like, whoa, that dude on Indiana is incredible. But I think regardless of that, it's going to be really tough to stop the Celtics. And Al Horford's going to pull Miles Turner away from the rim. And the Celtics drive and dish and cutting has been better. Jaylen Brown's playmaking has been better. So even like that's one thing that even in that first game that these two teams played, like, you didn't have this level of Jaylen Brown, who's getting off the ball quicker. He's not just driving into the teeth of a defense and turning it over all the time. He's getting off the ball. He's moving. He's cutting. His assists are up. His potential assists are up. The assist points are way up. Like, he's playing really, really well. So the Celtics offense is getting better. And if they can start hitting some shots, make miss league and all of that, then the Celtics can, if their defense is as advertised, then they could take advantage of the Pacers a little bit there defensively and I think frustrate them.
You know what's great, John? If the Pacers lose, they can just call up the college football committee and demand to be put in the semifinals anyway, because that love a good
That's how
topical
it
joke.
works. That's how it works.
Love a good topical joke. Because the games don't matter in college football, apparently. Undefeated is bad.
No. Nope. Just got to call in a few favors.
I am here after 33 minutes to go to bat for Florida State for absolutely no reason. And that means it is time for us to wrap up and get out of here. I am sure on Locked On Celtics, you can expect the same. But tomorrow, if you're listening to Locked On Pacers, you can expect a thorough breakdown of this game. I love these in-season tournament games.
It's going to
Diving
be
in
fun.
on it. It's nice that I don't have to talk about point differential anymore, for sure. It's very easy now. You win, you go to Vegas. You lose, you play another regular season game this week in someone else's house. Way easier to follow, so that's good.
This part's easy. So Orlando's doing what now?
They got screwed. The committee screwed the Magic. That's what I should have said.
These Florida teams are just getting screwed.
That joke would have been funnier earlier. Dang, I'm mad at myself now for missing that one. That's a whiff.
Fun conversation there. Obviously, this is a big deal. First ever in-season tournament knockout game. So this is a lot of fun. And, maybe I wasn't fully aware of, for some reason, I swear I thought Orlando made it. I don't know, man. I'm still figuring it out, but it's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a good game, I think. And I do think the Celtics are going to win this. So I will be here for you post-game with the full breakdown here on the post-game podcast. And so make sure you're subscribed to that. And whatever happens next, if the Celtics go to Vegas, I will go to Vegas. If the Celtics come back home, then I will be there at practices and I will have more podcasts and a lot of fun all week long. So make sure you're subscribed to this show. Check out that Locked On Pacers show. Tony does a great job over at Locked On Pacers. Check out all of the opposition. There's a Locked On for every team. So check that out. I would love to see you on the YouTube page. Make sure you are in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I would love if you are an everyday or if you're with me Monday through Friday and all that. If you share the podcast, you spread the word, tell your friends, ring the bell at the Salvation Army thing. Just grab the bell and just ring and say, hey, you should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.